When you think of training that took place during the Second World War, you think of places down south, like Salisbury Plain and Slapton Sands, where Exercise Tiger took place. But I found the remnants of where some training took place here in North Wales. So if that intrigues you, stick around. Let's explore these ruins together. Here is the first remnants that I've come across of the gunnery school here in Llandudno, and yeah, I couldn't find really any information about these remains, but obviously they are the footings left from the gunnery school. Could have been storage, could have been a mess hall possibly, I'm not 100% sure, but it's always cool to come across Second World War concrete remnants. And then literally just next to those remnants there is this notice board, and I love a good notice board because it means that if people are just walking past, they can stop and then they learn something, you know, that they didn't necessarily think they were going to learn that day. So the Great Orme in wartime, because that's where the gunnery school is situated, and I love that picture as well. That is a really, really cool picture. So just literally decided to follow that path to see where I go, and here we have some of the remnants. Now, unfortunately, as JD from the History Underground would say, there's dang-gum graffiti all over these, because unfortunately, I don't think a lot is done to really conserve this part. You know, you can see all the brambles that are kind of growing over it, but it's still cool to see. Let's see if we can venture inside, actually. I'm not going to venture in fully, because if this was smell-o-vision, it would stink, because there are lots of goats and sheep around here, and they've decided to use this as their little, I don't know, house, I don't know. But yeah, you can kind of see there the concrete footings for the guns there, and I will go into a little bit of history about the school now. Yes, I thought I would just take a pew and talk through the gunnery school here in Llandudno. So due to the threat of invasion after Dunkirk in 1940, it was decided that the gunnery school would originally be moved from Essex to somewhere safer. Now obviously the country was scoured, where could they go? Where did it go? Well, it went here, which is the Great Orme in Llandudno, and it is an amazing spot, and I'm super excited to be able to explore it and share it with you guys. So the reason this site was ideal was due to its wide estuary mouth, which leads further that way onto Conwy and Conwy Castle. So this meant there was somewhere that provided an area where they could anchor targets in the bay, where they could train people to shine the spotlights on and fire the guns at as well. So training began here in September of 1940, so you think Battle of Britain is still going on, but training is still needing to be happening, because they knew, you know, they weren't just going to give up. You know, they could say, oh well, you know, we'll try our best to defeat the Luftwaffe, so there's no point training anyone else to continue the war and continue the effort. They weren't going to do that, so training started in September 1940. There was a gunnery wing, a searchlight wing, which, like I said, I think this is where the searchlights were, and a wireless wing in this site as well. So a real mix, because obviously you need communication between people on the searchlights and people on the guns to locate the target, zero them in, and then bring the fire down on them. So some numbers from this site: in 1942 there were 150 officers, 115 cadets and 445 other ranks at the gunnery school. And a lot of these ranks of men, obviously in the war, were coming from different locations, and then they ended up going into Llandudno. So yeah, the people who came to the gunnery school and were trained here, they obviously came from different parts of the country. And then due to the HQ and senior officers mess being located in the Gogoth Abbey Hotel, that meant that obviously the men then socialised in the town and ended up marrying a lot of the local women, which is a really nice story. You know, people probably settled down here. You know, I have ties to North Wales myself. My great tide, which is Welsh for grandfather, he fought in the Second World War, and he was from, lived in Llandudno Junction after the war. So that makes it extra special to come to somewhere like this. Also, as well, workshops were used for the gunnery school at the Red Garages and Central Place, and the Juniors Officers' Mess was at the Richmond and White's Heather hotels. So I think that just goes to show that it was a local effort as well by local people that will have been employed to help the gunnery school, which is nice. It ties into that kind of stereotype of, oh, you know, we're all pulling together for the war effort. And yes, I know everyone didn't get on, and there was spats with everyone, and people fell out, obviously, you know, but nobody gets along with everyone. But I think that's nice that it was kind of a local effort in North Wales here, and then some men ended up marrying women from around here and possibly settled down here as well. So going back to a bit of information on the gunnery school itself. So red flags or red lights at night were used in the area to warn people when firing was happening. Obviously, the military defence knew that people still lived and worked here. You know, they couldn't just take over and shut down the entire area. So that was a way of just maintaining, you know, safety as much as they can. And as well as that, bylaws were introduced in 1942 which prohibited the public from entering the foreshore, so down below of the firing range, or taking vessels into the sea below the Great Orme. And the Great Orme is actually behind us. But yeah, that makes complete sense, doesn't it? You know, you don't want some, oh, I'll take the boat out this evening, darling, and then, you know, some cadet thinks, oh, that's the target, okay, boom, rain down fire on that target, and you've got a mess on your hands there. As well as to kind of stop the public from interfering. A £5 fine was also introduced for anyone caught collecting bullets and shells, etc. And I've got to hold my hands up. That's something I try and do because I love war paraphernalia and military and things like that. So again, that kind of makes sense. And £5, you think, oh, five is nothing nowadays, but you've got to remember back then, that was a lot of money. That's probably the equivalent to, you know, £100 fine nowadays or something like that. So what kind of guns were here at the gunnery school? So in 1942, the Home Guard were trained on 6-inch and 12-inch guns, as well as searchlights, again, a nice mix. And the training consisted of firing at static naval targets, again, like I said, situated out there, and moving targets to practice anti-aircraft fire as well, which obviously, with the Battle of Britain raging, that was obviously given that they needed a bit of both training of naval targets and moving targets, imitating aircraft. So there we have it, a look at the gunnery school that was here in Llandudno during World War II, and I hope you've enjoyed, again, that local history. I really like doing these videos. It's just nice exploring nearby, saves on travel, obviously, but yeah, it's really nice because you think, oh, everything happened really far away, so it's nice when you stumble across something pretty local. And I hope you've enjoyed the scenery as well. It's a beautiful day here today, so yes, I hope you've enjoyed. If you did, don't forget to like, share and subscribe. And if you want to check out my latest video, which is where I carried on the tour of remembrance, also check that out. Or maybe if you want to see where I found a mosquito, check that out as well if you're a bit of an RAF nut like me. Yes, so thank you again, and I'll catch you in the next one.